Boy.
Hey, right?
Look at all these beautiful faces. Love it. We'll give it just another minute or two here, and then we'll jump right into it because we do have a packed agenda today. Schmill, Williams, Uday, Olivier, but I'm sure he'll pop in, and Paul. Okay. All right, let's kick it off. Let's get started here. So welcome to the meeting for the Open Source Committee, July 9th, 2026. Can you believe it's July already? All right, a bit of a packed agenda, like we said. We do not have our developer advocates here right off the top, so let me go ahead and pass off to Sebastian for a moment just to kind of give us a little introduction to the meeting, and then I'll pick up and we'll move along the agenda here.
Hey, everybody. It's good to see you all here. Yeah, this meeting. We have an agenda, so let's start. First point: the local advocate checking. This figures out as optional. So if our developer advocates have something to share in this moment, please go ahead. 5 minutes, 4 minutes, it's fine for the general knowledge of the public. We have developers, no? Developer advocates?
No, yeah, just one there.
No, all good? Okay. The next point is check developer advocates milestones. Text.
Yeah, absolutely. So just a reminder here. So technically, as of last week, the developer advocates are no longer on contract. Some of them may still be submitting their final milestones. I unfortunately have not checked yet. Got them buried a little bit in security, but we do need to go through those. And as we've done in the past, you can see this in previous meetings and stuff as well. I do ask that we have comments from one or, if possible, 2 committee members on each milestone that the developer advocates have submitted, and this would be for their Q2 milestones. It's really not a ton. There's about 50 or 60 in total. So I do understand that's a little bit of a workload, especially when it comes to reviewing it. But essentially, it comes down to myself, and again, I may have some help from Bernard in collating that final report for the developer advocates. We'll all have an opportunity once that's put together and drafted to add or remove or change things accordingly. But that starts by having your comments and feedback on the milestones that they've submitted. So please remember to jump over to GitHub. Again, that's under Open Source Office. It's Project 71, and it is titled Developer Advocate Program. If you need help getting there, please let me know, and I'll be more than happy to direct you. I will jump over here to just the next few items as we run down. This one, I do expect to see a little bit of conversation. This is the Crypto EQ brief. So I do have an update for everybody. I actually met with one of the co-founders of Crypto EQ yesterday. This is the second time that we've met. I did discuss some of the budget concerns as well as the other expanded reach concerns as well. And so I have a few updates. Unfortunately, I don't have it all fully documented, but I will get that to you as soon as it arrives on my desk here. The main things with Crypto EQ as a beginner piece here, we're looking at a Vantage report. A Vantage report is more so than a radar report. For example, anyone in the past, we had a version of a radar report that went out with Bitergia. And that's probably aging about 1.5 to 2 years at this point. So it's been a while since we've had any big report go out. The Vantage report is something that we'll have the opportunity to curate to exactly what we want to see in it and out of it. And as a research firm, what they'll do is they'll produce a research-backed document that the hope is very informational. The original or the cost that I was quoted on this here was $9,000 plus $3,000 for social media expansion. Now, again, those are some larger numbers. The revised numbers that I was told is going to be somewhere more around 6,000 and about 1,500 for the initial report. Now, those numbers, again, are still expected to receive an additional partner discount in good faith, putting us down to somewhere between 5,000 and 6,000 as the initial spend here. As some of these costs are halved, this is also looked at from a 50-50 perspective. So 50% would be asked up front about this 5,000 or 6,000, and 50% upon when the report is ready to go out. Those details are confusing to me even as I'm stating them to you, so I don't want you to feel like you have to respond to anything number-wise without seeing it on paper, black and white. But the last thing that I'll mention specifically out of that brief, there was a comment or concern about the 120 or 130,000 active users, and I wanted to clarify that that is in relation to the amount of traffic that they have had through their website specifically, through their web application, that is. So that's not specifically designed as a monthly over 100,000 people are looking at this. That's saying that with the different organizations that they've partnered with through their web application, you can assume a normal bit of fall off, and people have chosen to keep up with that, right? There's a lot of traffic that is actually going through their web application, and people are able to go and view. My understanding is other reports, we would also have access to something like this in getting into a partnership agreement, but I understand there may be more questions. I don't want to take the whole time talking me. If you guys have more questions, I'd like to know what those are so we can document them for when it'll be Spencer. Spencer will join us at the next meeting here. Not everybody all at once. Questions on EQ, why we would be doing it. This is, we essentially need to confirm after we get questions answered in the next meeting if the OSC is still willing to spend the project support services budget on this metrics and development reporting. Specifically, it would start with this Vantage report, and the idea or goal is to have some monthly reporting contracted for about a 6-month period post that initial report.
Have they mentioned specifically what kind of things they want to report on for the open source committee, or more in general Cardano things?
The open source committee has the ability to dictate exactly what is being marketed. So in this case, the goal is to replace or provide a revised version of the the goals provided a revised version of monthly reports that we used to do. Basically, we had data from Bitergia, and we put that through an AI to get a consolidated report that was at some point readable. The point is, as much as it was readable, it was not necessarily interesting to the reader. As a crypto-based research firm, what they have the opportunity to do is to give us that feel of saying, hey, I actually want to read these metrics, and I understand why this is important to me, and so now I'm going to go and take a look at it. It'll also give us another opportunity to adhere down to what metrics are considered most important here. So this really ties into DevX and GovX. That's currently a conversation in the ecosystem.
Yeah, I think it could be an interesting way to measure some of the metrics that we're trying to meet with other, objectives and milestones. I think that would be a good thing to pair together there. But so yeah, I'll keep an eye on that too.
Have there been historically any challenges with the previous Bitergia reporting that we would hopefully avoid with this new revised version? How conscious are we of those previous mistakes or shortcomings?
Most definitely. So with Bitergia, again, no harm, no foul. At this point, they've had to shut their doors. If nobody's seen that, again, you may or may not have been following that directly. So they are no longer an option to continue with. From the previous time when we did a major report, partly due to some of the response from us as open source, myself and the team at the time as open source office, but also partly due to their time tracking. The initial reporting period, which was expected to be, I want to say 8 to 12 weeks, ended up being more like 16 to 20 weeks. So there was definitively a delay. What has been quoted or promised here is that within 4 weeks, we would have a draft for us to look at there. And so you can imagine another 2 to 4 weeks for us to review and suggest some changes there, but be very close to getting something out very, very quickly, as the analysts are very skilled in this and do this on a daily basis for multiple different blockchains or ecosystems. Again, our report may be a little bit different. It's because we have the opportunity to curate exactly what we want in there. I guess I don't want to get too much into topics, but one of the things that I had suggested yesterday might be a good thing for the First Vantage report is why Haskell, and that just being an underlying tone throughout the piece. The reason for that is specific to developer experience. Right now, we have a lot of top-level teams that are still delivering on whether it's Haskell maintenance or further development. I do understand we have node diversity, but even with node diversity, we can't just abandon the fact that Haskell will still need to be maintained. And so I want to try to bridge the gap. I say I want to, right? I think it would make sense for us to try to bridge the gap to make it make the project feel more accessible to developers that may have dabbled with Haskell, but not chosen to dive fully in because they didn't understand how it was applied, why it worked, or why it was so important for Cardano to maintain that as its core node. Again, we have the opportunity to debate that in different sessions and go specific in the report as to how that reads. But the conversation is there. So.
Yeah, as long as there is a draft period and that they can take our feedback, and I assume if it's not like really drastic, they can bake those feedback back into the report of how we are commissioning them. That all sounds good to me, and I think that's the only scientific way we can approach this, right? Like we have metrics that we are trying to track, and then we have these loops. One thing I lost the thread on is that so this skill story we are trying to create, or that we already have, how would this report create this storytelling for making it easier for example, a Haskell developer outside Cardano to come and understand what's going on? So these are not just metrics that will be on the report, but rather how these came to be and what's the story behind it, or am I missing something?
So I did mention part of the history of Cardano when I was speaking with, again, with Spencer here. And so I mentioned that there's lots of research behind the build of Cardano, right, and the formation of the Haskell node over the last decade. Now, if we're talking about in a I'm going to bring a developer on kind of thing, I don't know that I'm going to go and assign them 650 pages or 1,000 pages worth of research to go back and read through and then say, this is why you want to skill yourself up with Haskell and then get deep into these projects, understanding the full why behind the why behind the why. So as analysts, what they'd be able to do is essentially scrub through these reports, scrub through the various text options that are available to us, right? There's been a number of different books published through the years of what are the updates on where Cardano is. So the idea is to bring that all together in what's going to be a succinct paragraph or two that says, this is why you want to care about Cardano. This is why you want to care about the Haskell node. And then we get into, well, here's the actual development metrics. Here's what's happening. And here's why we need more outside input into this, or, you know, more rounded input into what we have as an open source project. So
Thanks, Tech.
thanks for the questions. I appreciate that. I'm hoping I'm giving the right answers. If you guys have more questions, I'll try to I can start a thread, or we can just have them posted in the channel there. But if you have questions for CryptoEQ before the next meeting, please put them in Discord, so that way we can have something to present, the questions we can present to Spencer next week when he's here. If not, I'll just have him kind of go through things again just to make sure everyone's on the same page. And by that point, we should also have a revised starter contract to work with here for you guys to give an official approval on. Okay. Let me jump over to Discord real quick, because that is the next agenda item here, which is tooling proposals verdicts. And I am checking. Looks like these polls did not end yet, but that's okay. We had the first one here for funding Mesh AI. The answer is yes, 7 votes, no, 1 vote, abstain, 0 votes. So I will send details over to Mesh AI for them to start working on a statement of work to send to us. The next one that we had out there was fund midnight setup. We had yes, 1 vote, no, 5 votes, abstain, 2 votes. And so this one here would be a no for midnight setup. And so I'll let them know of that decision here as well. Both votes are quorum having more than 7, at least 7 or more votes. There is another voter poll that was in the Discord, but I have that on the end of the meeting here. So we'll circle back to that here in just a little bit. I know the guys are here. So Ben or Luke, if you guys get to a point where you have to hop out of the meeting, feel free to just kind of raise a hand ahead of time and we'll jump to that ahead. But I do have some other things on the agenda. So any questions before we go into specific tooling proposals? We do have 2 teams here, or 2 individuals here to represent their proposals that were submitted within the last couple of weeks. Okay. Koa, that is going to be up to you here. So this is tooling proposal for Cella.
Sorry, we can't hear.
Yeah.
Um,
Can you guys hear me now? Not as nice, but
There we go.
cool. Well, hey, thanks for everybody for taking the time to let me present here. It's nice to meet a few of you recently in Minneapolis. So it's good to see some familiar faces here. I would like to go in and kind of tell you a little bit about the proposal that we have. This text is there a way I could present. Let me take it over. Let's see here. Cool. All right, so in December of last year, there was a special election after a constitutional committee member, a consortium retired, and I was one of 5 members of Cardano Curia that ran for election, got elected, and quickly dove into what is the confusing world of the Constitutional Committee, and quickly realized there is very limited tooling and ability for members to actually deliberate, understand these massive amounts of governance actions that come through, especially during these budget periods. And so decided to build our own tool internally for Cardano Curia, which I called Cella. And I'd like to share a little bit with you about how we would love to get this to be an open source, self-hostable infrastructure for all of Cardano's constitutional committees. And Cella is the Latin word. We're kind of going with the Curia and the Latin. So as we all know, the constitutional committees are mission critical. Their ability to vote, their ability to get these governance actions across the line, get their votes, is fundamental to the security of our chain and to our governance. And right now it's all kind of ad hoc. Everybody's working with their own things. A lot of people do command line, and with another election happening right now where we're going to have potentially 2 to 4 new bodies coming in, the level of experience of people is going to vary, and we want to lower this barrier of entry for people. So what we all need is just the continuous workflow, the ability for us all to, especially with consortiums that have 5 to 7 members themselves, it gets messy really quick. So what the answer is for Cella is to have this self-hostable, each committee can run this, and then any number of the members within the consortium can go in and deliberate and prepare a one on-chain vote and get in. So this is the workflow that we have currently, ingesting all of the data on the chain so far, all the votes currently, reviewing them, and then the members deliberate and they vote internally, and then the final rationale and the final vote gets built, and then the payload gets submitted on chain. And yeah, so we've been using this already for Cardano Curia. It started as a Telegram bot, and then I kind of quickly built out. It was pretty obvious that it needed to be even more once this last budget season came, because it was nice. It was fine on a Telegram feed when it was 1 or 2 votes coming in every once in a while, but as soon as this budget committee came, we get, I think, the 10 different actions coming in at once. So it was clear that we needed a more robust and better tool for this. So we've already done a number of votes using these tools, and it has removed an incredible amount of friction. So what we have right now is in this slide, and I can share this maybe if that'll be helpful for everybody here. Let me put that in the. Here's the link to this deck if you want to review it. So what we have now is we also have the optionality for everyone to plug in their own LLMs to be able to and to be able to deliver this payload on chain is kind of a separate script. So for Cella, for this tooling, part of that is to make sure that all of that functionality can be put into one tool that can allow for folks to actually sign up their cold keys and to actually submit that on chain. And we already have all these pieces together, but we want to do with this through the milestones with the open source committee here is to have everyone audit this and make sure that we can have this whole process together and standalone that can be easily repeatable and open source. Okay. So we do have some wallet signing, and I let me. Still got a few slides. I have a demonstration for you guys, so I'm going to start going through this a little bit. Already kind of saying this stuff. Everybody is already doing manual stuff now, and a lot of, like I mentioned, command line, and it's very difficult. So we want to make this a safe, repeatable, self-hostable, and the highest value piece of CC infrastructure work in the ecosystem. And I think that we have already accomplished this internally. And so getting those last pieces together and sharing with all the other committee bodies to get their feedback and build on this and sustainably have a tool that everyone can rely on. So as far as the phasing for this tooling, for the tooling sustainability intake that we've done, we've already submitted the phase 1. That's why we're here demonstrating this now. So we're in that phase now. And if you so choose, would love to get to phase 3 and dive into that. So yeah, I'd like to maybe just jump ahead, and I know we have a little more on the agenda, so I don't want to take too much of your guys' time here. But just kind of in summary, we really believe that this is ecosystem critical infrastructure. There's been a number of governance actions where Constitutional Committee votes or lack thereof or leave to the last minute is an incredible amount of workload for a lot of volunteers. So to give them some tooling that is secure, open source, and reliable is mission critical. And yeah, so here's some of our team that has contributed to this. And that's that. So I'm going to move over to the demo. That's all right, unless we want to stop and questions. I think the demo could, maybe we'll just wait to the end. Let's see here.
You can go ahead with the demo there, and just to confirm real quick on this, because I recognize this was not in the application, and that's on our end. When you say ecosystem critical, that does seem to fit within a band, I think near to the band 0 or the band 1 of funding. Is there a specific dollar amount that you guys have targeted funding desired?
I think that'd be something that I was hoping to dive in a little deeper to understand the capacity and get feedback from you guys. That is something that I can submit. I know that wasn't part of the phase 1, a specific dollar amount. So that is, we do believe that this falls within phase 0. So somewhere within that. But the specifics may be determined by what statement of work there are and what actual milestones are agreed upon. I also pasted our GitHub for this project. Let me just move a little bit over.
Okay. Just for clarification, band 1 will top out around 35,000 in total funding. That's US dollar equivalent there. And then band 0 would top out at the 50,000, which is the max that the OSC has agreed to award per any one project. So I guess I would pose this to the OSC at this point. Do you all feel that you have enough information and you may want to discuss this offline over the next couple of weeks? Do you want to see the demo now, or do you feel confident to provisionally approve this to move forward to a statement of work with a direct funding request?
I have one question. Hi, Colin. Nice to see you. So this is right now this open source repository that we can't really see if there has been traction by other CC members, but this is more for CC members who are acting as groups of DREPs, right? Like together, not DREPs, sorry, CC members. So there is this multi-sig element to it. But how can we evaluate if this demo, like what does it mean? What do you mean when you say that you want to take this to production grade? What is missing already? And if there are missing features, why would it be ecosystem critical already without seeing any traction?
Well, I would say the traction is within our own committee, Cardano Curia. We've been using this for the past 6 months or so. So it's a tool that's already exists. I say this proposal here is for the sustainability of this, to build it out to get more feedback from to get to present this to the other committees and the new committees coming in this election, to get their feedback, to build out the more features, to propose to them, and to build this out even further. And not sure if that was, if you remind me another one of your questions. Just want to make sure I answered them all.
So this expects all members to come and connect their hot wallet where they have their CC credentials to come and sign up multi-sig transaction. That's correct, right?
So that's a great question. And for us, every consortium should have the ability to build this, however they want. That's part of the flexibility here. That feedback from other people. Every committee has a different way of deploying and submitting that on chain. You're right. There are some that are just individuals. I think they would still find this. Tool to be useful for them, even if it's just one. But the point of many members coming was is a friction point, a pain point that is within the multi-member and the consortiums of many people. And so as far as the submitting on chain, we're referring to the multi-sig. There are that's at the discretion of each committee. And so is whether or not they want to have multi-sig, if they want to have trusted few members, all the members. So that's part of the flexibility that this tool could provide, is offering a multi-sig or just one simple one wallet. And this right here, there's the hot wallets of each individual person in the consortium to just log in, and could be ability to swap that out for any other number of OAuth, if you want to use Google, if you want to use Telegram, whatever it might be, to identify each member and keep that secure. But the actual payload is the more mission critical, and the actual voting on chain. That's what each committee body would have different ways of delivering that.
Sorry, Dominic, just to build up on this. So does it support hardware wallet signing?
Right, currently
because the hot wallet is that's not a recommended workflow in the first place,
no.
Right?
No, that the hot wallets are just for the internal dialogue in the chamber between the consortium. The final payload is the missing piece that we're doing manually. It's that most members are doing manually in a separate script, and that's a huge pain point. So that's something that Chris and myself in our consortium are working on to deliver this as part of this final payload for this proposal to everybody, is to bring that complexity, lower the barrier of entry, and yes, have the cold wallet, the secure cold wallet signing.
Thanks for answering.
Thank you for the answers and presentation so far. So you mentioned that this has been used 6 months internally by your team already. What's the main features that have driven people to use this instead of existing workflows and tools? In what capacity has it been used in the last 6 months is my question.
I think the other workflows are all manual and ad hoc, and people building their own tools and things around. A lot of committee members and other bodies have some technical backgrounds and stuff too. But for us, the number one thing has been actually recording, having a ledger where people actually record their internal votes. So we have 5 members. How do we record them? Everyone contributing their rationale to a deliberation. It's that whole deliberation process. And so it can be fine once or twice, or using other web tools or any number of tools online, but to have a dedicated open source tool that the whole ecosystem can audit and benefit from. I think that's the vision. But to answer your question, it's the actual deliberation, the sharing rationales. So then when we submit them on chain, how do we put a composite of everyone's rationale, and how do we know that everyone's voice within the consortium is being heard, not just their vote, but that the rationale is being put into a composite. And just that alone, there isn't really any tools that are built for this, that are open source and maintained in this ecosystem. There are some personal projects that people have been making just out of necessity, and other consortiums, but these are the main functionalities here. Is the features of looking at it, actually ingesting all the votes as they come in, having a place where they're there, making it readable, having an ability to reference the Constitution right there, having the ability to incorporate someone's own LLM, whether it's their Claude instance or their Codex instance or whatever it might be, so that people can do their own internal workflows and amalgamate them together.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Just to preserve some time on the agenda here, I did drop my calendar link. Sokola, maybe you can book some time with me and we can pre-record that demo. I can share that with OSC accordingly, if that works for you.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Thanks for the time.
You bet. I did have just a slight bit of modification here. This one will be super quick. Just want to be courteous to Mike because he had some other things going on. But there is a standing request from the Security Council as we are going through some of the reports, also from the maintainer teams, that we remove Plutus script evaluations from the bug bounty program. Basically, it's been determined that that is more of an internal resource than something that is publicly chain relevant. But I'll pass this to Mike for a minute if we can hear him, or any additional comments.
Hello, testing 1, 2. I hope you hear me. Hello?
Perfect.
Oh, great. Yeah, I'm not home at the moment. Personal family issue. So basically, this is a repository that's used internally by the team to test Plutus, basically. We received a good amount of reports, and they are valuable in a way that there is some bugs or things that would be security features if that tool will be used by everyone. But the issue we have right now is that it's only used by the internal team to test or do this implementation. And this is why, like, I'm kind of advocating to remove it from the bug bounty program, or have it like as a private repo, because nobody else uses it. It's a tool that's used locally most of the time. So like good DevOps, if you do that properly, of course, like these vulnerabilities are not really an issue. And yeah, so like basically I'm kind of advocating to have it removed from as a public repository.
All right. Just to ensure there's a record, I'm going to launch a poll on this here. So please navigate to the bottom. It'll either be 9 dots or a pencil and a ruler. And you can see the poll. You may have also received a notification. You can also look in the top right of your screen. You should see a little bar chart icon that will also show you the polls. This is specifically for OSC members that we're looking to collect the votes. All right. That being said, we'll move on over to the tooling proposal for CNE, which is Cardano Node Emulator, and we do have Matthew here for that. Thanks, Mike.
Yep. Thanks, Terence. I appreciate that I'm able to speak a bit about Cardano Node Emulator today. To be fair, the proposal I issued 2 days ago, so I didn't really prepare any sort of a presentation, but I can still speak about the tool, right? And I can still give give you some ideas of why we actually want to maintain the tool. And this is not, as opposed to the previous proposal we've seen, this is not a new tool which I want to promote. Rather, it's a tool that has been here for a long time, which I would very much like to place back at the nice visibility right throughout the community. That's something we've started last year, but for other reasons, we're not able to continue this effort. And I want to present you today why we should be doing it. So what is Cardano Node Emulator, right? Some of you might have heard of it. It's been around for quite a while. If we go back in time, some of you, I don't know how many of you were there at the time, but if we go back a few years ago, we had this huge Cardano Node Emulator. I will actually send the link. I had prepared this, but forgot to send it somehow. So if we go back in time, I will give you a bit of a tour of the situation so you can actually decide whether that's relevant for you. If we go back in time 5 years, we had this huge monorepo on Plutus, which was called Plutus Apps, which really was unmaintainable, right? There was some effort that were put in the tool, but eventually the whole repo was archived and basically given up on, except for a few of its components, which were deemed relevant, still relevant by the community. So one of those tools was Cardano Node Emulator, which was pulled out of Plutus Apps alongside a few dependencies, which were really useful for the tool, basically in its dependency tree. And this part of the repository was kept maintained for a while by IOG, and specifically by the API CLI team from Intersect as well. Maybe I should have started this way, right? But I work for Twig, which has been an actor in the Cardano ecosystem for many, many years now, which was present at the very beginning. Recently, we're working on Peras, we've worked on Leos, we've worked on many, many instances, many tools within the Cardano ecosystem. And in particular, we care about security. We've conducted many smart contracts audits in the past for a variety of clients, for big projects, such as, I don't know, Marlowe, such as JED or other big projects. And we really care about security and safety of smart contracts, which is why we use Cardano Node Emulator, right? We use it as a backend for our tool called validators, which you might have heard of. And the goal of Cardano Node Emulator really is to allow to send a lot of transactions to an emulator instead of having to go through the whole process of connecting to a node, of deploying everything locally, even if it's just a testnet, and to be able to really have be able to review the validation process for a variety of transactions in a way that we know that the smart contracts that people are developing are safe. And we've been using this tool for quite a while. There were some bugs at the time when it was Trace Emulator, which was not running the same logic. But Cardano Node Emulator really runs the actual ledger rules. So it's 100% compliant with the behavior that you're going to find on-chain when you actually process your transaction. Sadly, throughout the years, there was kind of a loss of interest in the tool. I think this is mostly due to the fact that it was originally part of a deprecated repository, which is not really a good press for the tool, sadly. But we still think it's relevant, right? When you develop a smart contract, you really want to have a quick feedback loop as to what the outcome of the validation for your transaction involving this smart contract are going to be. I know that's what we want when we use good validators. And what I'm proposing today is to update and maintain the tool, but I don't want to update and maintain it in a way that it's still going to be invisible to the community. We already have a lot of people that are interested in the tool that would be willing to participate in the maintenance and development of the tool. And what we want is bringing back the first actor in the ecosystem. We want to make it visible to the community. We want to have developers keep using Cardano Node Emulator. Maybe they're going to find value in having this quick feedback loop for the validation of their transactions. And for that, we need some fundings because we need some fundings to update the tool to make it compatible with the current standards. I already made some work last year where I updated it to the Conway standards, where I updated a lot of old artifacts which were completely outdated. But there's still some work to do, right? There's going to be Distra, there's still something we should be doing. And on top of this, we want to do some outreach to the community. We already have a dedicated channel on the Intersect Discord. We want to keep this effort going, have a chance to prove that this tool is useful. If we can't do it, I think it would be sad personally, because there was a reason why this tool was extracted from previous apps, while all the other sub-projects, most of them at least, were retired. And I think we should give it a shot. So that's what I'm proposing today, in a nutshell. I'm happy to ask any of your questions, and hopefully this has been insightful for you.
Matthias, nice meeting you. Could you help the committee and also me understand where has the repository stopped being maintained? You just briefly said that it was or due to other reasons, quote unquote, but there are numerous other tools that already do this and are already up to date and maintained, right? Like that are like at the top of my head, Scalus has I believe already, that is already integrated into some SDKs like Evolution and Mesh to spin up some DevNet in memory. There is Yassi. This is definitely like from the Haskell family. So this is a DevNet tool that you could use from the Haskell tooling. I guess that's the differentiator. But has this been superseded? Do you think? Why would it be a differentiator that we keep maintaining this? How do you view this, like the competition, let's say, quote unquote?
It's a good question. So to answer your the first part of your question, I think it was left unmaintained just because of manpower. Really, when you see the workload that the API CLI team does already have. I mean, you see how many updates there are every couple of weeks, so I can't really expect these people to keep up-to-date tools that they deem less interesting. So what I like about Cardano Node Emulator, is that you can interface directly with the tool through the Haskell ecosystem, so you can connect any tool that you're building in Haskell with it. You have this quick feedback loop, and it's a very simple tool, very small, that is directly built on top of a ledger state that is maintained. So you don't have to, for me, what I like is that it's really simple, really small, really to the point, and it connects very well with, at least for us, the application that we do already have. That's the best answer I can give you. And there was another item, so something I didn't say because I didn't want to be too lengthy, but Cardano Node Emulator does embed a few packages. Some of them arguably could be pulled out of the project because they just happen to be in the dependency tree. But one of those projects is something that maybe in the future we could maintain, which is Cardano Node Socket Emulator, which was an attempt to have the emulator be used in the same way that Node would be used by connecting to a socket. So that would be free for developers who already do that, right? They would just change. That would be the same interface. So that's one plus we could propose. And among the other projects, there's something that we've been working on for the past year, which is give Plutus developers a way of, we've seen in the past in the recent contracts that we've audited on, in the recent contract that we've witnessed, every company that is building a smart contract, they're going to go through a lot of hoops to obviously reduce the size of their smart contracts to, for example, obviously not deserialize the full built-in data, right? Just pick some places they want to go. And there was no, like everyone is actually doing it in their own ad hoc way, which yields some security issues most of the time on one of the packages in Cardano Node Emulator. And we could definitely be discussing which one of those we want to maintain, right? That could be up to debate. But one of those packages actually provides a convenient way that is efficient and convenient to actually both delegate decoding to dedicated function, but having wrapped up in a script properly, and have also all of the purposes of the script be wrapped up properly in one single entity, which people have been doing in their own ad hoc way for a while.
Thanks for entertaining the question. If the committee doesn't mind, I have one follow-up. So for the last 6 months or so, I believe it was unmaintained and has been in this stale mode, so that it's currently not functional, right? Or it's not up to the, for the upcoming hard fork era, it won't be ready. you're
It
saying.
won't be ready if we don't do any work. So I had it made ready for Conway, and it's functional for Conway, but for the next artwork, it's not. That's why we need to do some work quickly.
Okay, I understand. Thank you for answering again. And maybe just like the ask Kala, what is the intended budget? I don't know if this was spoken, but I haven't heard about it. So what's the ask here? It would be helpful.
It's a bit complicated for me to respond to that question, really. It's more a matter of whatever we can get, we're going to use, and we're going to prioritize. And I think the main task we're going to do, if we have the smallest budget, is going to be to put it up to date with the next artwork. That's going to be the main point. If we can get more, we can do more outreach to the community. We can. There's a lot more that we can do. I don't think I'm comfortable with asking for direct amount. Just whatever I can get based on what you say, based on what I told you guys. If you think that's relevant, then we're first going to have it ready for distro, and then we're going to do some outreach. See if we can interest some people.
All right, I'll pop in because we are getting down to the end of the meeting here. I do have some polls out there. Bernard, I'll try to get your question quick here in just a second. If you're an OSC member, please navigate to the polls. We need some votes, and I would like to call those out here at the very end of the meeting here. So poll number 1 still needs multiple votes, 2 and 3 as well. Bernard?
Yeah, my observation is we have got these fantastic tools from different communities because we are decentralized and we will be decentralized going forward. So we have got a couple of different emulators which are being used. Maybe they will also come here and request for funds to update their own emulators. I'm not sure if it's an emulator and all different versions of emulators, we consider all of them because they are all used in different areas, like this one here. Personally, I used Mithril, and Mithril gave me a node running within 30 minutes. So now with an emulator, I was saying, okay, I can run, test, automate, and do this. Is fantastic for that. But I can't deploy it to testnet, pre-production, or mainnet. So Mithril, that running node, I can do those things. So, but I realize, I really fully agree with you. It has got a very strong purpose. If developers are taught how to use it, it is really useful. As much as you look at this other one that are there. Maybe my suggestion could be, instead of saying, okay, we are going to update this one, and then we wait for others to come. Maybe, how are those other ones updating theirs? They are using their own funds to update theirs because their own communities are using it. Then why are you not doing the same?
I mean, the reason, if I can just respond to that last part, is that Cardano node emulator is not our emulator, right? It hasn't been built by Twig in any way. What we built is cooked validators, and we use our own fundings to run, update, and maintain cooked validators, right? And that's something I suggest all of you should take a look into because it's a really nice tool, but that's not the point, right? The emulator, it just happens that we were using it historically. We still think it's relevant. So before moving on to something else, we try to see if we can contribute to the community and have it being used by more people. If it turns out to be irrelevant, that nobody is interested, then we're going to have to operate in another way. That's not impossible. But personally, my take is that I wanted to propose that first to give you an overview of the state of the tool, what we could be doing with it. But it's not us who created it in the first place.
All right, Matthew, I'll leave that to you there. Just if you do find something that we can share, feel free to book some time and we can do a quick recording on that, maybe 15, 20 minutes or something. But I will move on because we are, again, nearing the end here. So the last thing, I did bring up the team from M Labs, and actually I'm going to show my whole screen here in the polls real quick. I'll launch the last one while I do that. But let's see here, entire screen. There we go. All right. Pardon the multi whichever here. I'm going to upload this last poll here now. We did not get enough responses throughout the week, and this is on approving the submitted Lambda buffers statement of work. This has been in the Discord all week, so please make sure to check that out. But again, if you are not seeing anything, your meeting looks somewhat like this, except without the infinity, or maybe you have the infinity. Down here it says meeting tools, or if you're an attendee, this may just be 9 dots in this bottom corner. That is one option. You should see the polls. If you don't see that, then up here in the top right, you have this little bar chart here that has the polls, and you can view all 4 polls. If you're still having trouble, let me know in the chat. But again, we do have the MLabs team here, so if you guys have questions for them about the statement of work before voting for it, please let them know. Luke?
Yeah, just say really quickly, I noticed on the statement of work that there's a request for video demonstrations, and that was just added just a little bit before this meeting started. So yeah, just a refresh.
Yeah, if you guys would prefer a video demonstration for either, I'll offer it for both, whether that's Lambda buffers or CTL, let me know. I can get those to you guys retroactively. Bernard?
Yeah, thanks for this opportunity. At least if I can interact with them, I'll understand it deeper. First thing, when I went through, I found statement like all dependencies are up to their current version, which it is very vague. I'm not sure if I'm interpreting it correctly or wrong. If you say we are going to update these current versions to the latest version, I mean, auditors or people, external people, some of them, remember, are not working with these projects. What is current version? I have to search to find, okay, you've got a tag, a V2. And then where do you want to go to? And to get there, what are you going to add? So that was my first statement. I posted it on the Discord. And the next thing again here is external users apart from MLabs. This has been developed from Fund 9, Fund 10, and now we want to develop it further. So, and we are looking at one fork. Maybe they can clarify a little bit deeper the usefulness in Cardano ecosystem outside MLabs of Lambda buffers. So, and then the next thing here, I can say, if there was a matrix table which says this is what we have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, even in a shorter version. So when we complete 2 months after spending X amount, then this is going to be this state. Then those who are going to audit it at that time, then it becomes objective. That is what I saw. The last part is about user adoption and statistics, usage statistics outside MLabs. Those are my, let me say, points of understanding. If I can be made to understand this, that would be welcome. Thank you.
Thanks, Bernard. All right, I'm going to call out some votes that I can call as of right now while I'm doing this. If you have not voted against the Lambda buffers one and you feel comfortable to do so, please do that now, as it does not have yet the number of votes. But for the first one here, as I ended here, we have 7 votes yes, 2 votes abstain, and that is for excluding or removing PlutoScript evaluation from the bug bounty program. So we will work on that adjustment.
Sorry, may I respond to Bernard's questions?
Go ahead, Beth.
Yeah, sorry about that. So Bernard, we're happy to send GitHub insights on Lambda buffers and CTL if we haven't already. So we'll get those over to you via text. In short, outside of MLabs, Lambda buffers may not have a whole lot of adoption. That was sort of part of a previous decision by the OSC, where it was determined that, I think specifically because it benefits so much in cross-language, that it was worth bringing up to the current hard fork and keeping it maintained. So really, I think some of this may come down to the distinction between the SOW itself and the prior decision to fund the project. The reason the current scope for the SOWs is what it is simply because this has been a very long process, and we had to choose relevant scope that was not likely to be funded by other sources and that fit the available funding. Yeah, Luke, if you want to jump in.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we did hit on the adapters that we had, just because it seems relevant, and that was Unbox, and then TripHut and Yad Labs were the people that we discussed, and then we've used it heavily inside of our own open source tooling in MLabs. So just to hit on that. And then I think another question we had internally was the process of CTL. I think we were still sort of waiting on essentially a signed document to officially kick off development. We're really ready to go there. Is there a timeline on that part of this process, or is that still ongoing?
Since CTO was approved in the last meeting, I'm working on getting that SOW formalized here. So
Okay.
that works with me.
Thank you.
Please let us know any way we can speed the process along. Thanks.
Okay. Want to be cautious of everyone's time here. So again, the second vote that we had was to request a statement of work from Chella. We do have this as 6 votes yes, 1 vote no, 1 vote abstain. So Kola, if you're still here, please work on and send through a statement of work. The third one here was for Cardano Node Emulator. We have 8 votes yes, 1 vote no, 1 vote abstain. So Matthew, please again work on a statement of work, and if you have questions, let me know. The last one here, Lambda buffers SOW. We do have the required number of votes: 5 votes yes, 1 vote no, 1 vote abstain. So I will begin working on Lambda buffers to get the funding out that way as well. Again, we can still pass on and request information as needed. Again, if there's something that you're missing that you haven't received yet, whether that's from me or from the team, please just let me know directly and I will coordinate that. Thank you so much, everyone, for attending the meeting. Recognize there's one agenda item we didn't get to. I will be setting up some various other meetings for OSC so that we can start working on Q3 stuff without without taking away from valuable meeting time like we've had here today. But thank you, everybody, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Tex.